Secret. It took a little bit before the steam train got out of the station, but at the 17-minute mark, it was all VGJ.
Did it? It's a 35-5 game. We only saw 5 total kills that Secret is able to grab.
They kept it even, man. As far as the net worth goes, you were saying, like, I mean, at least keeping that even.
They did. It reminded me in some ways of the EG Liquid game. They lost the lanes, but it's like, hey, their net worth's kind of close. Maybe they can do something with this, but it never happened. No. And I think that's partially with their heroes. Bristleback does not translate to catching up. Invoker with that build has a hard time catching up. So basically they're reliant on Omni Slash, Yapzor stuns from Nyx Assassin, and maybe an Ice Blast. But you can't necessarily set that up easily by like keeping Puppey far away. So they basically would have had to rotate like 2 to 3 of those heroes to make every gank happen. Like if you go Bristleback lineup and he doesn't quite win his dual lane, and he starts getting like killed and bursted in team fights, then you are on the back foot. Yeah, so it's hard to catch up.
I can understand it in a way, like what they thought about by pushing farther into that lane. They wanted to get into Lycan's face, but it just didn't work. Like, you look at these fights, and there was just so much power. Like, Freeze was 11-1-19 at the end of this game. Sylar was 12-0-14. The two huge cores were never really contested by Team Secret. They had all the momentum, so when it came to these fights, Secret had to work so hard, but they didn't have the damage. Mid one didn't have the control. Like, the comparison between Mid-1's control factor compared to Yang's was night and day.
Yeah, basically everybody on VTJ had fairly good survivability. They all did damage with the exception of maybe Disruptor. But all they needed was Glimpse in a couple positions, and they would get a kill every single time.
As you said, like, all you had to have for DDC was to get that Glimpse off, and he's already done his job.
Yep, and almost always is on Bristle. They just had so much damage that it didn't matter. They just kill him. I still think of slightly itemization for Fada. I think the Vanguard was absolutely needed against a hero like Lycan. But
the Solar Crest?
The Solar Crest, minimum he gets a Medallion and moves on. Or maybe he gets a Chainmail and then moves into Hood and then finishes Solar Crest. But if he would have had the Hood earlier, I feel like there was a couple fights that he maybe could have survived. Maybe he shouldn't have gone Nasal Goo as well. That could have maybe made a difference. Like, that's why so many players just go Quills and Armor and Bristleback, because they need to just make sure that they survive in these fights so that when they're focused, they can turn around and get some kills.
Yeah.
And it never happened. It's like felt like a useless Bristleback, and it certainly wasn't a whole lot that Fada could do to make up for that. Same with Mid-1. Like, this was like his best team fight. Definitely blast into an ice wall. And where's the follow-up? There's nobody else that can deal damage. Just maybe they kill Lycan here.
Yeah, he's so low, but they don't have enough.
Сейчас смотрит один, это, наверное, блядь, я заебись. Сейчас смотрит один, это, наверное, блядь, я заебись. Сейчас смотрит один, это, наверное, блядь, я заебись. Блядь, будет игра, нет? fire, bro.
Let's roll.
Wait, what's wrong like that?